Okay, she be going every single night. Day and night on my mind, pushing a cute vibe.
How's it going, everybody? This is Tyler Drabber. Hope you're having another great day, and welcome back to another video. Alright, it's time for another edition of Random Thoughts. In this series, I'll talk about whatever is on my mind, whether it's something interesting in the world, a personal story that I want to share, or if I just want to rant about something. So I got a question to every one of you that I want to ask. Do you feel like that it's gotten a lot hotter in recent years? I mean, every single summer since the last one, it feels like that it's gotten a lot hotter, and as a result, it's made some things that we've been able to do in our lives a little unsustainable for some. And I do feel like for that reason that it's really gotten a lot hotter every single year since the beginning of last decade. So I want to talk about that here in this video. I want to talk about, exactly why it's gotten so hot every year and what you can do to best manage that during your summer. Because even though the summer is now winding down, it's still a possibility that every single summer after this one is probably going to continue to get hotter every single year. So obviously I'm going to explain to you some of the best ways that you can manage that and ultimately find a way to be able to enjoy your summers in your future without the threat of potentially having to deal with much hotter temperatures affecting you. So obviously summertime is one of the most popular times of the year. School is usually out during this time. There's a lot of fun activities going on, and usually a lot more people will be heading out to the beach. Usually they will be going surfing or just laying down under the sun, getting a little tan or something like that, or maybe even go to an amusement park, maybe even a carnival, enjoy some food and all of that stuff, maybe even go to a whole lot of concerts or something like that. Hey, there's a lot of fun things that you can do during the summer, but a lot of that is affected by the weather. And usually during the summertime, it's mainly affected by a lot of hot temperatures as well as a lot of rain, usually during the times in which, it's early in the hurricane season. So usually it comes down to a mixture of both of them. But recently, it really feels like that the temperatures haven't gotten a lot hotter recently. And as a result, it's really affected our summers every single year. I don't know, it feels like it's gotten a lot hotter since the beginning of the last decade. And really, the first time I can reminisce going back into this was back in 2010. That was when I first joined the football team in Chatham Middle School. And during the week that we had our training camp for the fall season, it felt really, really hot. I mean, it was almost like boiling temperatures or something like that. And a lot of the players there that I was with during that time, a lot of them had to practice without their shirts on because it was just so hot. They even had a whole bunch of fluids with them as well as a result of that. And it was definitely brutal during that time, while I did have a whole lot of fun doing so. So yeah, it was really exhausting during that time. And at the same time, to go along with the rest of that, the rest of that summer, it really continued over there. I remember when I was going out on a vacation with my family or something like that during that weekend, it had only gotten slightly hotter during that time. And as a result, at least prior to later that decade, 2010 would end up being the hottest year on record. Of course, things would be a little bit calmer for the next 4 years, It wouldn't be as hot, obviously. But however, come 2015, we would head back to that 2010 level temperatures and really top that by just a slight margin. I mean, I remember in all of those years during those summers when I was playing football and all that stuff, it would be very, very hot, especially during training camp to prepare for the season, and also, outside when I was doing weightlifting and, doing a whole lot of jogging and all that stuff. During that time, I had to contain a whole lot of water and a whole lot of Gatorade as well because it was getting so hot during those years. And 2015 was really the culmination of that. And ever since then, every single year since 2015, it feels like we have only surpassed that record and have only up getting a lot hotter every single year. For some reason, we've had a lot of states that have been reaching death level temperatures. There have been some states in the southwest that have reached nearly 100 degrees and maybe even surpassed that by quite a bit. And that's made conditions there almost hard to live in. And it really, because there's a few places over there during that time where, especially there in deserts and all of that stuff, that's really hard to find a whole lot of water and fluids. So that way you can be able to maintain yourself. And this year, for me, I think it's really been that noticeable. In 2022 this year, especially last year, it has been a lot hotter. During the days in which I would go out and walk, during the summer, whenever I did have my 2-hour walks, heck, even my small 1-hour walks when I was taking a break from my work, and all that stuff, it was still extremely, extremely hot. And there were a few days earlier this summer where it was very close to or even hitting 100 degrees here. That is rare here in New Jersey to have a 100 degree day. I mean, it was extremely hot during this year. As as a result of that, I sweated quite a bit. I ended up sweating a whole lot of my shirts, a whole lot of my pants and shorts when I was going out walking, or even just doing like basic normal stuff, like getting to work and all that stuff. And as a result, I've had to change a lot of my clothing throughout the course of the summer. But fortunately, with the weather's beginning to die down and starting at around this time, obviously that's when I don't really have to worry about sweat really making me feel a little messy and giving me a whole lot of sweat in my clothes and all that stuff. But still, this summer there was a lot more of that than I had when I started walking 2 years ago. So why is it getting hotter all of a sudden? Well, obviously one of the reasons is climate change, and obviously I'm not going to talk about that because that's politics stuff right there, and that's something that I usually do not like talking about, so I'm not going to touch on climate change here. But still, another reason why is just because it just feels like that every single year it just gets hotter and hotter and hotter, and because of that it has become a lot harder for us to be able to go outside and do what we love during the summer without us getting really dehydrated and just dragged down as a result of that stuff. Some of us have had to contain a lot more fluids as a result of that, because as a result, with all these rising temperatures, it's really become a lot harder to be able to just go out there and just like have fun. As a result, you get the possibility, like this, all the heavy sun that we're now seeing nowadays, it's really affecting our skin as well. There are a lot more like dark tans that you usually get. In fact, during the days in which I walk, I tend to get like tans like this on my arms, along with my lower legs and my face, also just like that. It happens quite a bit to me, and it increases the risk of possible exposure to skin cancer as a result of that stuff. And I felt like that there were a few times where I was close to that, but obviously I did not do that. And it's just really hard for me to be able to go out there and just even just stand there, even days where I'm just standing there, and it just feels like like I'm not doing absolutely anything or just sitting down, something like that. It's still extremely hot, and as a result, even during the times in which I'm just doing nothing, I'm still ending up sweating. Maybe because I'm not near an air conditioner, or maybe it's just way too hot out there overall. It's sort of that feeling that we have gotten for the last few years or so, and this year 2022, which I feel like is once again going to be another year in which we break the previous record for the hottest year on planet Earth. It's really been no different. So as we continue to go into the years in the future in which every summer we can expect to get hotter and hotter every single year, I've really been thinking about how we can be able to manage that. Well, for me, I think there's really 3 reasons why I think we can be able to manage that. And I'm going to share with you some of those reasons right now. The first way we can do this, and obviously this is probably the most important, hydrate. I know this is something that we hear quite a bit, but during the summer, especially during these hot temperatures, it is very important to keep yourself hydrated. This especially goes to those that are going out and exercising during the summer in the hot weather, because usually in hot weather, it's a lot more difficult for you to be able to go out there and do your exercising than it is during, average weather days, like where it's usually like in the middle or even in cold temperatures. But freezing temperatures is also similar to summer weather, but obviously it's a lot harder to do that during the summer weather, and usually you have to drink a whole lot of fluid to be able to do that. But it's not just them anymore. Now it's just regular people that are just going out to work, walking every day to work or driving to work. Even with the air conditioner on, you still have the possibility of sweating. So this is basically just for everybody in this situation. No matter if it's water or like a seltzer or maybe even like Gatorade and all that stuff, whatever you have on there, make sure that you are hydrating during the summer, because every single day that you go out during the summer and you're not drinking a whole lot, you're going to become a lot more dehydrated, and when you're going out to a run, there's a good possibility that if you don't have enough fluid in the system, you're possibly going to pass out. And so obviously, that's just something that you really have to take into mind. The more fluid that you have in your system, the better of an opportunity you're going to be able to manage your day during the days where it's near blistering hot temperatures and stuff like that. So, make sure that you're hydrating as the hot weather goes on, and you'll be able to manage your day a lot better. The second tip to be able to manage this is find ways to protect yourself, because like I said, even during days where you're not exercising, because it is so hot, there's a real possibility that there are a lot more people nowadays that are going to get a lot of unwanted tans, and that's something that I don't think any of us want. As I said before, this leads to the possibility of having skin cancer, lead to some sort of, like scratches and burns and all that stuff. And it'll make you feel like that you're really laying down on a grill getting ready to be burned or something like that. It really is not fun at all. So do whatever you can to try to protect yourself from the hot sun during those summer days. And there's really a whole lot of ways you can do this. Like if you have a lot of sunscreen or tanning lotion or something like that, hey, make sure that you put some of that on, because that's usually one of the best ways for you to be able to manage your summers. Because during that time, if you don't have a lot of sunscreen on, you're going to get a lot of very serious burns and a lot of tanning on you as well. So be sure that you have that with you whenever you're going out to the beach or something like that. Another way is whenever you're going out to the beach, have something with you. Like maybe it's just like an umbrella. I know that usually having an umbrella is only good when it's during those wet days where it's raining or something like that. Well, it's starting to get to the point now where, there are some people that may have to start having an umbrella with them during the summer, because usually during the days where it's really hot out and you have that sun out, you just use the umbrella to be able to block all that sun and all that heat from hitting you. It just deflect off the umbrella and just right back into the sun. Hey, it can work during the summer just like it protects you in the rain during the wet weather days as well. Maybe you may have to start using that. And of course, as always, you have to have your air conditioning. Even when you're right here at home, you gotta be able to have air conditioning, and as well as, like a whole lot of other cool stuff, like even ice packs or something like that, because you're gonna need a lot of that during those hot summer days. Heck, even when you are at home, there's still a possibility that you could end up sweating during your time at home. So always have a whole lot of air conditioning with you. It's gonna get hot every summer, and it's just something that you're gonna have to prepare for. So make sure you're having a lot of fluids in you, and you also have a lot of AC and a whole lot of stuff to protect your body, and you'll be able to conquer those hot summer days. And finally, I think really the most important way for us to be able to manage these hot summer days is really just, plan. Just plan exactly, like how many times that you're going to go out during the day, or even during the summer, because there are some days in which it's just so hot out and near blistering temperatures, it may not even feel safe for you to step out at all without a possibility of you getting burned within like the few seconds of stepping out there, all because of those hot temperatures. And obviously during the times of the pandemic, which I believe is now winding down, in fact almost every single restriction since the pandemic began has virtually been lifted at this point. We still have a few companies like mine in which we have like a hybrid schedule. So in this case, maybe just go along with something like that. Maybe try to build a hybrid schedule of your own during those hot summer days. Like if you're trying to exercise and try to lose a whole lot of weight, for example, try to do exactly, like what I would do. Usually on the days in which you have work at the office, those are the days where you can just focus on your work. And then on the days where you're at home, those are the days where if you can limit to yourself to at least like 30 minutes to an hour or something like that, that way you can go out there and do what you gotta do, but not stay out there for too long. So that way you can be able to go through with your exercise without getting scorched too much by the sun. And also during those days where it's really hot, maybe a good suggestion for you is to wait till it starts to cool down later in the days. In fact, I learned that when I was going out and walking, usually in the summer days, the temperature is as best for you to go out and walk when it's late in the day, sometime around 5 p.m. till later during that day. So if you're going out and going for a walk or something like that, or maybe even heading out to a concert, or maybe just hanging out with friends outside or something like that, the best time for you to go out there and do that during these summer days would be at 5 p.m. or afterwards. And again, that's because during those times, that's when it can be the coolest. Obviously it will go from the 90s all the way down to maybe the low 80s or early 70s or something like that. That's your most opportunistic time to go out. And that way you can be able to get less heat and also enjoy everything that you love to do. So if you are thinking about going out during the day, during these hot weather days, it's best to wait till later to do it instead of when it's really at its peak. You just gotta figure it out. I mean, it's a lot harder nowadays for us to be able to go out and enjoy doing what we love without the possibility of us getting, an unwanted tan or maybe even risking skin cancer as a result of hot weather. So you just gotta find a way to plan your day, and that way you'll be just fine. Look, this is starting to become the norm here. Every summer from here on out is going to get hotter and hotter and hotter, and it is something that we just gonna have to learn to deal with. Fortunately, we're heading to the the end of the summer. So obviously we will not be having to deal with this weather again until next summer when it's 2023. But this is just something that we gotta have to deal with every single year. So yeah, you just gotta do exactly what you can, manage the days to the best of your ability, because it is not going to get any easier from here on out. So you just gotta put a lot of fluids in you, find a way to be able to manage those days, and really just do the best you can to have fun during these hot weather days, especially if you're anywhere in the country in which you're really at 100-degree weather or higher than that. So it's really going to be a lot harder to be able to enjoy your days without having to deal with all of this hot weather affecting us, but it can still be managed. So just do the tips that I mentioned here today, and I think you'll be able to find a way to be able to manage your days during the summer without the risk of potentially collapsing or having some sort of an issue as a result of the hot temperatures. So as the summer winds down, I want to ask all of you, how have you been able to manage those days that are extremely hot in temperature? Like, do you usually limit yourself to how long that you exercise outside, or limit yourself a little bit more in regards to like how long you're underneath the sun? How are you able to get through this? Let me know down in the comments below, and I'll be more interested in hearing your opinions about it. Anyways, that's gonna do it for another video. I hope you all enjoyed it. As always, if you'd like to see more of my content, be sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you know when my latest video is released. Comment below for future suggestions for all my videos, whether it's vlogs, projects, challenges, or random floss videos, you name it, leave it in the comments below and I'll do my best to make them. As always, follow me on my social media. All the links are in the description below. That's going to do it for another midweek upload. Hope you're having another great day. And as always, I hope to see all of you again in another video very soon. So long, everybody.